Joining me right now is Michigan top team, coach, owner, fighter. He does everything. Daron Cruickshank, what's going on? Welcome to Kumite Radio.
Thanks for having me, guys. Let's get this going.
Before we talk about fighting, I want to talk about something else that you're into extremely is guns.
Yeah, I shoot a lot. Just you always gotta have one with you, right?
It definitely, if you're allowed to have one, you should have one.
Are you in Japan or are you over in the States?
I'm in Korea.
You're in Korea. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can have them or not.
No. Okay, let me give you a look of what weapons are like over here. If you have a gun or you buy a gun, you have to keep it at the police station locked up.
So what are you supposed to do with it?
Well, when you want to go hunting, I guess, or when you want to go shoot, you have to go and kind of rent it from the police.
Yeah. Can I borrow this for a second?
Exactly. So it's totally different from the States. And I actually grew up in the States, so I support
Second Amendment.
Exactly, the Second Amendment. I support it all. It's like you should have the freedom to carry your gun. But now, did you get into hunting when you were young? How did you get into shooting?
So I did some hunting when I was younger, but it's okay. You got to go sit in the cold weather and then shoot an animal. Invite the animal to like breakfast, like have some food, and then you shoot them. I don't really care for hunting. I will go probably once a year just because all my family's doing it too. But I got into the shooting sports slightly after I was in the UFC. I started making decent money, and guns are not cheap, and so I got into shooting sports after I started making some good money. So I basically spent all my UFC money on guns, and started doing some competitions and stuff like that. There's a lot of firearms competitions in the States, especially like in Michigan. We're like a pretty gun oriented community, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. When I was growing up, and I grew up in Washington, so.
Okay.
Like I grew up,
Yeah.
My dad bought me my first gun when I was 12 years old. So I was shooting from that age.
So I'm gonna guess the gun. You probably got a Ruger 1022.
Exactly. How do you know this?
Yeah, that's everybody's first gun.
It's the easiest to shoot.
Yeah. It's a good training tool.
Exactly. Yeah, shooting sports. Now, is that something that you have as another career? Is that something you plan on doing in the future more when you stop fighting?
The shooting sports, there's like maybe 3% of guys that do shooting sports that actually make a living with it, right? There's not a whole lot of money to be made. You don't see the shooting sports on ESPN or anything like that. So there's not a whole lot of actual money in the sport. But you get a lot of free stuff. Like I have a couple companies, VG Defense. They're the rifle company that sponsors me. They give me rifles. I get free ammo, Phoenix ammo. All these companies are Michigan-based companies. So I'm from Michigan. So that's the nice thing. You get some perks if you're good. I'm a pretty good shooter, but I'm not. I beat some pro shooters and stuff like that. But I don't travel across the country and do like big tournaments or anything like that. I do mostly local stuff, and like I just have a good time at it, and I post some cool videos of it.
Yeah, definitely some cool videos, and you do have to support your local businesses.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now let's get into the fighting. Tough 27 just recently started, and you were on season 15 of The Ultimate Fighter. If you look back at that season, what were some memories and maybe some nightmares that you have?
I had an awesome time on the show. My season was the only season. It was 13 weeks, 13 weeks long. Everybody else is 6. Other than the first season, it was 7. I had a blast. It wasn't much of a difference as far as living conditions and like training all day, every day and stuff like that. So the hardest part was there was no communication with the outside world. So no TV, no radio, no music. I would say definitely the music thing was the hardest part of the actual show. So try try going for a run on a treadmill without music, or working out without music. You know, you don't realize how much it affects you as far as motivation and stuff like that until you take it all away, and you got to go and warm up into a room that's quiet and there's no music going, and you're supposed to like jog and warm up and get mentally ready, and you literally jog in a circle and you wait for the music to turn on, but it never turns on.
What type of music do you listen to when you're getting ready to fight or when you're on the treadmill?
You know what? I guess you'd say like a connoisseur of music. Like I listen to, it's basically everything. Just depends on what I'm doing or what I like throughout the day. I'm working at the house, I'm working on my house and stuff like that. I like to listen to country music. When I'm boxing, I listen to old school rap. And you know, at the gym, I'm jamming out to techno. You know, it's not I don't really have a whole lot of that I don't listen to. I mean, I'm not gonna like listen to like Christian rock or something like that, but yeah, I mean, most genres.
Now, you've been going over to Japan for the last couple years, fighting for RIZIN. What are the biggest differences you see between fighting in Japan and fighting in the States?
I would say, one, the Japanese love to hear themselves talk, right? So the rules meeting is freaking hours long. And they they really go in depth and stuff I can see why they do it, because they have so many people from different countries and so many people are talking in different languages and stuff. But for the most part, I mean, guys have been fighting, you know, they should know the rules. I know RIZIN has their own rules set, and it's like almost every fight is slightly different rules because they allow that. But as far as the difference, yeah, it's in a ring. But the same mentality as far as fight to fight is the same from ring to cage. You just have a different arena, I guess. I like the soccer kick rules. I like trying to kick people on the head, on the ground. I really love that. My next fight, I believe I can throw elbows. So I'm comfortable there too. But I would say the biggest difference is the fans. You walk into the arena, and during the fight, it's like super quiet. Like you can hear your coaches, you can hear his coaches, you can hear every little thing in the arena, because everybody else, instead of like hooting and hollering and like being drunk and belligerent or whatever, like the American way, is like quiet, and they're like studying what's going on. Yeah, if something big happens, they go ooh, ah, you know, but then they go right back to silence, and it's actually really nice being able to hear your corner over the crowd.
Yeah, you know, being in Japan, the crowd is so quiet, and they're actually getting better at being more excited about the action, because before, a few years back, they would be completely quiet. Even something would happen and they would kind of stay quiet still. So
right.
You're going over there at the right time, because the fan interaction is getting better in the arenas.
I think that's because like everybody's so polite there. You know, everybody's worried about like other people. Like, I mean, that's the great thing about the country is you go and you get on an escalator, everybody's on one side. That way, if somebody needs to go and run up the thing, like they can go. It's crazy. I don't know where the garbage goes. I don't see one trash can, but there's no garbage anywhere. Everybody's real polite. It's even funny because you sit at a light and like on the street, you're walking around, you sit at a light and there's like no cars coming. Everybody stops and sits and waits for the walk sign. And when you go, like, because I mean, you go to New York or something like that, if like you just blast through that light, if there's a red or green or whatever. If it's safe to go, you go. If it's not that safe, you still go. So like when I go to take off, everybody's like, oh my God, like, ooh, like they go to think and then they stop and they're like, oh, I don't know what they're saying. Probably talking shit about me, but but it's crazy how society there is like really, really tight and everybody's real respectful of each other.
How was that experience of going over there and the language barrier? You're walking around, you really don't know what anybody is saying, but they're excited.
It's not like the language that's hard to get used to, because like really a lot of people speak English. I mean, because most people around the world are into American, like I wouldn't say like, oh, they're in American like music and stuff like that. So they sing the words, they hear the songs, they kind of get it. I mean, everybody watches like American movies and stuff like that. So I don't like, and that's, I fought in Brazil, I fought all over, like everywhere, French-speaking places, and everybody can understand English. So like if I have to go up to somebody and say, hey, blah, 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 a lot of times I can get my point across, they get their point across. It's about like reading signs and stuff like that. Like, hey, don't walk over here. Or how do I get on this bus to this bus so I can go to the gym or shopping or food or something like that. That's the hardest part. That's why I like to go in a lot earlier than most guys that are fighting. That way I can get like where everything's at. I get comfortable. I get my time set because it's like basically on the other side of the world. So yeah, but I'm getting pretty good at navigating through Japan.
Yeah, it's not that hard. Once you get used to it, you can find everything pretty easily.
Big giant symbol with the box in the house, and there's a, I don't know what those mean,
You gotta get one of those sign books.
Yeah, I need a sign book, or I just need somebody from Japan just to take me everywhere I go.
Exactly. Well, that's the best. That's the best.
Yeah, and we'll do that. I forget the guy's name, but I've seen him at every fight. I literally was walking out of the hotel, and my idea was, okay, I'm getting on the train, and I'm gonna go a couple stops down where they're shopping. And I actually see him every time. I went to dinner with him once. But he escorted me to the train, put me on the train, went with me, dropped me off, and then he went back to the hotel to get like signatures and stuff. I actually gave him my shirt that I was wearing just because he did that. But it was really cool. Like, he's willing to help me out and stuff like that. It's awesome.
RIZIN, they're known for their production. Now, if you compare that to other promotions that you have fought for, is the difference gap too wide?
I think they do a great job in the back and production-wise as far as like the show. They have the same lady that I think she's a lady that did the Pride fights and stuff, like Daron Cruickshank, like that. She's real famous. But it is it's hard on the fighters because there's that huge introduction in the pre-fight show and stuff like that. It's hard because now we have to be there like all day instead of say the fight start at 7, we get there at 4. No, the fight start at 7, we get there at noon, and we have to be there throughout the whole entire day. And that's one thing that I don't like because that's a whole day, and you're exhausted if you're the last fight, you're exhausted, right? So that's the hard part. And the food, when I go to Japan, I go to markets, I get all my own food, and I cook it in my room because I'm not used to that the type of food that is sold in Japan. One, I'm dieting, and then so like that day they give you these boxes that you're supposed to eat out of, and I'm like, I'm not going to eat any of this food. Like, this is not what I eat. It's nothing to you, but like I need to stick to what I'm used to. And they say you can't, but I don't care. I sneak it in anyway.
May 6th, RIZIN 10. Now they actually put numbers to the event, so you don't have to call it these long names, right? You can remember easily. RIZIN 10 in Fukuoka. You're going to take on Koshi Matsumoto. He is a veteran. Yeah.
Every time I've said his name, I mess it up worse and worse every single. So by the time the fight starts, it's going to be like Kishimata Mito. Like that.
Well, Japanese names are easiest in the Asian countries, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Koshi Matsumoto.
Koshi.
Yeah. Like kosher.
Exactly.
Kosher. Koshi.
Koshi Matsumoto. He is a veteran, Japanese MMA veteran. He is a champ of multiple promotions.
Yep.
Locally, he is very famous. It seems like they're not giving you any easy matchups. Do you believe so?
That's because the easy matchups don't want to fight me. The only guys that are willing to put their neck on the line and fight me are the guys that are experienced. That's and they want a good show. But that's the biggest thing about RIZIN is it's all about the entertainment.
Yeah, speaking of the show, when you come out in the American flag, bandana, jacket. How did you come up with that idea? You're one of the only guys out there representing America abroad the way you do.
Yeah, well, when I first signed with them, they were like, you got to come up with a theme. And I've always been a huge patriot back home. I have American flags all around my house. If you look at my Instagram, I just love it. So when they were like, you got to come up with a theme, I'm like, well, I'm just going to bring as much American as I can to Japan and show you what the culture is all about. So that's what I try to bring.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy that you bring that aspect to the show because there's nobody else doing that.
Right. Well, I have a blast. I was always a fan of the Hulk Hogan theme song when I was growing up, and then Don Fry with his big ass mustache. I started growing. Just before I signed the fight, I shaved all my hair off, and so now it's growing back. Hopefully, it gets deep enough to where I can have the mustache.
The same one?
Yeah, for the fight.
All right. Well, for this fight, when did you start your training camp, and who have you been working with to prepare for Koshi Matsumoto?
Well, I think he's a little shorter than I am. Everybody that I've ever really fought in the past has been my height or way taller than me. I think he's 5'7" is what his SureDog account says, which is going to be slightly different than me for me because I'm used to being the shorter guy. But it'll be really nice because I actually play the long game really well as far as even with longer guys because I have the advantage of kicking and setting up my kicks and stuff like that. I'm pretty good with that. So I think it's going to be really hard for him to close the distance and actually try to hit me and or try to take me down. I expect him to try to take me down. I mean, that's like for the most part, once I start hitting people and I get my groove, like they're going to try to take me down. I don't think he has that great of wrestling, what I've seen in his fights and stuff like that, but I'm not throwing him out because I mean, he's a veteran. He's got a lot of fights. He's got wins under his belt. But whenever I step into competition, I'm not really competing against, the guy across right from me. I'm competing against myself. I need to show up, and do what I know I can do. I just produce and go after people.
You're known for your kicks, and the guy is shorter than you. You say you're used to fighting guys taller. Is that going to be an advantage against a shorter opponent?
100%. Like I said before, like normally guys can't get inside of my range with my kicking range because I can keep them at bay with kicks. And I'm talking about the taller guys. I fought Anthony Njokuani, who's like 6'3", right? Big dude. And I feel like I tore him apart. I threw a flying knee. I freaking kneed a dude that's 6'2" in the face, right? So I feel like I'm really good against guys that are tall and long, and the guys that are short are just not going to be able to close the distance on me, because I'm either going to be right in front of him because I want to be, or when he tries to attack, I'm going to be gone, too far away.
How do you see this fight playing out?
As far as realistically, what I see is me closing the distance, tagging him, basically breaking him apart mentally and physically. And then, once he's afraid of like my hands and feet, one of them are going to catch him and put him down.
You were talking about earlier, like the ring versus the cage. Of course, RIZIN is in a ring. Is that advantageous for wrestlers, do you think, or is it better for the strikers?
I think it's better for the strikers. One, there's no wall work. Like you're on the ring, like you can get stuck there, but you fall out of it, right? It's just not as it's harder to fight on the ring as far as trying to get a takedown and stuff. You don't have anything backing you. The reason why the cage is nice for wrestlers is because it stops the sprawl. But that ring, it's a real awkward position. And I think it's easier to get off the ring ropes because of the bounce than it is the cage. My dog's going crazy.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
May 6th, RIZIN 10 in Fukuoka. You're going to take on Koshi Matsumoto. I look forward to you bringing the American flavor to Japan again. Thank you for your time, Daron.
Hey, thanks for having me.